What's going on, guys? Welcome to new series of episode reviews. This is going to be for Solo Leveling Season 2. This is episode 1, and with me, as always, I have Loosepage.
Yeah. So I did see the first two episodes from the special theatrical release last month. It is, of course, it was just like a 1 hour, 15-minute recap compilation of the first season, and it included the first two episodes of the second season. So I pretty
Yeah,
much
so I was going to say, though, I mean, it's weird that they didn't just put out the first two episodes, that being the case, considering they already were in that recap movie. And we've got to wait for episode 2. We got episode 1, of course, but yeah,
there
no,
there there
haven't
is
did.
there is a reason for that. So yesterday I did go to SAC Anime, which I had a talk with Alex Lee, who's the English voice actor for Sung Jinu. He mentioned that even though they did the voice acting for the first two episodes in that recap film, they were told that they have to redo some of the lines, for some of the scenes. So it's not so like the overall release of the first two episodes back then weren't really final at the time.
Huh.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
So does that just mean like there is like going to be different
no,
scenes,
no, no.
or
The scenes themselves were exactly the same. It's just the voice acting is
oh,
oh, and some of the
but that's
translation.
just for the English version, right?
Yeah, that's for the English version.
Yeah, I
For the
mean,
Japanese dub, I mean, I don't know about the Japanese dubs, and since I never watched that version, um, I don't. It's possible it could be similar, but um, for this episode, they included like a brief recap of you know like the exposition of of the world, like how the their dungeons, how people are able to fight monsters from different gates, and then of course recapping
mhm.
Sung Jinu's reawakening to pretty much level up each and every time he defeats an enemy.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciated that because it has been a little bit since I saw the first season and I'd forgotten some things.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
So,
yeah,
yeah, this episode, of course, does take place shortly after the end of the last season, which Genu is able to obtain like a necromancer ability, in which he's able to summon like shadow versions of enemies he's defeated, especially like what was it, that red knight named Egress, which he manages to get on his third attempt. Um, so the episode starts off, of course, the day after, in which he's called by his sister, Sung Jina, that he has to participate in a parent teacher conference, in which he hurries over to the school to meet with Gina's teacher, homeroom teacher, and of course, he confirms that Gina is doing well in class, but uh, he also gets told that Gina's friend, I think, if I can remember her name, Han Sang-yi, who's also actually a member of Sung Jinu's, like, what was it, guild that was a part of, like, his raid team in the last season. So, so
yeah. Well, she didn't really do much of anything in the last season either. She just kind of hung back, from what I remember. And I mean, at least in this season, I guess she's going to actually maybe do something.
yeah,
Um,
like
yeah.
the teacher's request was to ask if he can convince Song Yi to give up on on being a hunter. So
She also asked what he would do if I guess if Jinha were to become a hunter or were to awaken or something, and he said like he wouldn't allow it. Which I wonder if that's some kind of foreshadowing, like maybe she becomes one, but because so far she doesn't really. It seems like she's got really no involvement
no,
in any of what's going on.
yeah. The teacher asks like Sung if he can go over to Sung Yi and convince her to stop being a hunter. Of course, Sung doesn't really do that when he goes to meet her. Instead, he wants her to participate in, like, what was it? I think it was like a high ranked gate raid with a team just to see like how treacherous of a like of a job this is, because like she's never really participated in any of the raids um that Sung was being a part of, while she hung back with several other like low ranking hunters.
Yeah. Yeah, so the two of them go to I guess the raid location, and they meet up with the party members who are going to be involved. Well, also at the same time, we see this other character arrive. I think was it Dong Suk?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was his name. Yeah. So I can't remember. Was he the was he the brother of the guy that was that
Yeah,
was that
he's the brother of the character that
yeah
Jinu killed in season one.
yeah. So he's basically come to essentially like try to get his revenge. And he does end up like showing up later. But yeah, so they meet up with the party members who are going to be taking part in the raid. I think most of which are like, what was it, like rank E or
I think
E rank?
so. I
Uh,
think like one of the leader is A rank,
Rank C
and then
or
no,
yeah.
the leader of the group is A rank, and several other members are B, and a couple of them are C rank. While
Yeah, so
Sung technically he's officially labeled as still labeled as an E rank, while Song Yi is also an E rank as well.
yeah, which is something that gets brought up quite a bit in the episode because, of course, he displays abilities that are way beyond someone who is an E rank. So a lot of the other party members get suspicious and wonder if he's maybe like, I guess, like hiding his level or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So what happens uh in this raid is once they go into the gate, the gate turns.
well, I was gonna bring that up, like, because what happens is apparently they get dragged into the gate, like it turns into something called a red gate, which just ends up dragging them into this separate, like, cut off world, which I guess some dungeons because Sung basically like briefly explains like a red gate. I guess they I guess they rarely show up, but when they do, they drag you into a separate dungeon or a cut off world, which is the dungeon, and the only way you can escape from it is to beat the boss of that dungeon, or for I forget what else, like something else has to happen, but that's like the only way you can like get out of it.
Yeah, and of course time works differently inside of a red gate, because I think the leader, who's Kim Chul, mentions that a day they're stuck in the red gate is an hour out in the real world.
Yeah, yeah. So they could be there for months, and help wouldn't arrive until like months later.
Yeah, and but then shortly afterwards, they're ambushed by like the ice elves of the red gate, which Sung is able to narrowly save Song Yi from getting shot by one of the arrows, but of course one of the other hunters gets shot in the head by one of the ice elves.
Yeah. So and that's like the first time like they start questioning uh what was it, the abilities, or well, his abilities, and if he's really like an E rank. But they basically decide to like split off into two groups, where one group is going to go and I guess was it like fight the ice elves, and then the other group was going to go and like I guess fight off they're called ice bears, or I think.
I think well,
Or,
no, it's I think Kim Chol is like he's weeding out like the weaker members of the team by splitting them up. Like he wants like the weaker
Yeah.
groups like just hang back while they do like all the heavy work to try to find the boss and kill him, so they can escape the dungeon. Of course, what was it? I think one of the other B rank hunters, like Park Heejin, who's the one who actually saw Sung catch that ice arrow, was the one who questions him about whether or not he's an E rank or not.
Well, I think pretty much all of them do. Uh,
Probably, but I think she's the only one that questions it. I think maybe Kim Chol like notices it.
I mean, it seems like the rest of the party noticed too that he does stuff that's beyond his what his ability should be.
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, like, yeah, I mean, Sung is like doing his best to keep his level up abilities a secret. Um, I mean, it's possible, seeing as like the red gate keeps everybody inside and keeps everybody outside from from going into the gate to help out.
Yeah.
So like the group splits up, and there, of course, both groups are both ambushed by like a group of like oh, what was it, the bears, and of course, Sung is able to easily dispatch them by, I guess, just barehanded. He just like literally just punches one bear right down in the head with his fist.
Yeah. And then later on, I guess they roast or they cook the bear meat of the bears that they've taken down.
Yeah.
And they, of course, Sung isn't there, and they ask like why he would be like. I guess maybe the excuse he gave them was it he was going to exercise. And they asked like why he would be exercising after, like, I guess what they just went through. But I at first thought this was something he was doing because the system, like, it was something the system was forcing him to do again. But he actually like was going to go and I guess find I guess the leader of these bears, who's like hibernating in this cave. And this is where we see his like his the shadow army that he has, where he uses them to basically take down all the bears that are hiding in the cave. And then at last he uses the leader, which was, I forget what his name was, the guy with the
Egress.
Egress, yeah. So he fights the 1-on-1 against the bear leader, which he ends up taking down, and eventually like cutting off his head. Yeah, I mean, this ability in general is just pretty broken. Like, obviously, it seems like it uses like a lot of mana, and like the army can keep regenerating too. But of course, it uses up a lot of mana. But it seems like he has a lot of mana. But of course, like it all like gets depleted pretty quick eventually. But he's still able to take down the leader of the bears with Egress, or yeah. And yeah, I mean that's
Yeah.
Also, we see what's going on with the other party too, which is the other group that went after the ice elves. They all have pretty much all been killed at this point, and it seems like I forget what his name was, but the other guy.
Yeah, he's pretty much all by himself, and then he just ends up running away scared. But of course, the ice elves just allow him to get away, which.
Yeah, which we see, I guess, the guy who's the leader of the elves, I suppose. And I guess, yeah, for now they're letting him get away, but they're probably going to just end up like hunting him down.
Yeah, more than likely just to help him find the rest of the group.
Yeah, that could be the reason. Like he's just going to lead them to everybody else. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a pretty good episode. I do think I like the new opening honestly better than the first one. Even though the first one I thought was okay. I mean, I feel like both the new opening and ending is better, mostly just because like the new ending is like is the Tokyo Ghoul guy. So I mean, I was kind of excited for that, but I mean the first one was good too. But yeah, I feel like this time that both of the new openings and endings are just better than they were in season 1.
Yeah, I definitely like this a lot better, and of course the season does start off strong in comparison to like how season 1 started, which season 1 really had an incredibly slow half, which I mean it wasn't bad because they needed to introduce Sung as a weak hunter before like he level up his abilities over time, and then it starts kicking up even faster near the end. But I think the main meat of his abilities is of course his new Shadow Army Necromancer ability.
Yeah, I feel like this season's probably going to have like more world building stuff because it seems like there's going to be more involvement from the Hunter organization. and maybe we're gonna find out more about the dungeons. Because yeah, the season 1 it was just about him just becoming more powerful until he was at the point where he was at the end of the first season where he's controlling the Shadow Army, and now he's just he's really powerful and he's just pretty much trying to, I guess, in a way, trying to hide how powerful he actually is.
Well, there's only so much he can really do, and there's no
even after but I mean, everybody's gonna find out. Like, I mean, especially if the Hunter organization finds out just how powerful he is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Speaking of like the Hunters Association, as you know that like a lot of the S rank characters that were introduced were in season 1 weren't technically introduced up until like this point in the manhwa, because like I guess they were just like in there for fan service for people who've read the manhwa, but this is actually the actual point in which you get to really see the S rank hunters for the very first time. So yeah, characters like Cha Hain and all the other S rank characters will make a much more heavier presence in this season, and will interact with Sung Jinwoo once they find out about his more powerful abilities.
Yeah, but I don't really have much else to say. I mean, I will say like that. I guess regarding the animation too, like it looked about. I mean, it looked good in season 1 too, but I mean, I feel like it's hard to say. Like, it looks about the same, maybe somewhat better in some regard. It seemed like they definitely put a lot of effort into the animation, at least in like the opening sequence and stuff. But I mean, even in the episode itself, it looked pretty good for when there were fight scenes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say though. I don't know if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, it's definitely a good start for for season 2. Next week's episode is, of course, going to be the conclusion of the Red Gate incident. And of course, like what this show was going to be adapting, I do, as much as I would love to see the Jeju Island arc, it's not likely to going to be in the season. At least maybe not in its entirety, because there's no way they can really adapt that much material going up to that point.
So is this season like, is it adapting like multiple different story arcs, or is it just adapting like one longer one?
So okay, as I mentioned before the recording, season 1 covers up to the first 3 volumes of the manhwa. The Jeju Island arc covers volumes 7 and 8. So but based on like what the opening is showing off, it's likely only going to cover up to volume 6.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess the only way I could see it happening is if they did like a 2-core season, maybe. But I mean, as far as we know, I guess it's just
it's not going to be possible, because they already announced that this is going to be another 13 episode season. Okay. So it's very likely the Jeju Island story arc, which it's going to be like one of the major story arcs. For Sung Jinwoo, but it's not likely going to happen until like possibly season 3, if they are going to release it again next year.
Yeah. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.